So I want to show you the power of an operating system through this example, because the reality is when we bring those assumptions and that thinking to the table, when we solve a problem, we create something new, or when we reinvent something, that matters a lot. The assumptions shape the solution. So for example, take an intersection. This is a problem space. We have two roads crossing. Our goals are for people not to hit each other and to have the maximum flow of traffic. So on the left, we have the signal-controlled intersection, the lighted intersection with red, yellow, and green lights and turn arrows and flashing lights and all this. And on the right, we have the roundabout, okay? Now, what are the assumptions of the lighted intersection? About people, about the problem? Yeah, we can't trust these people. We got to tell them what to do. If we trust them, they'll kill each other. So what we'll do is we'll tell them when to go and when to stop and when to slow and when to go left. We're going to control this. And the way we're going to control it is not with some person standing in the middle, but we're actually going to create a big apparatus. So we're going to have electricity, and we're going to have a control center in the background there that controls how all the lights in the city work, and we're going to have an algorithm and a huge team of people all to control these intersections so we can make sure that everything works. And then on the right, we have the roundabout. What are the assumptions about people and the problem in the roundabout?
You should judge them.
Yeah, we kind of have to put it on them, right? It's on them. They have to be responsible. So we'll have a couple simple rules. We call these enabling constraints, as opposed to governing constraints. And the enabling constraints will be go with the flow of traffic and give the right of way to the people in the circle, right? And those two rules are sufficient to cover every possible permutation of behavior that could occur. Almost anything that can occur can be handled by those rules. And so we have these two different systems. Now, of course, we then have to ask the question, well, which one is more popular? So at least in the US where I am from, obviously, this is 1,000 times more popular than that. 1,000 times more popular. But then you ask the question, well, which one's safer? The roundabout, yeah. It's like 80% safer, 95% safer on fatality collisions. Which one has higher throughput? Roundabout, 80 to 90% higher throughput. Which one's cheaper to build and maintain? $10,000 to $15,000 cheaper. Which one works better when the power goes out? The roundabout, by a mile, right? And yet, we have 1,000 times more of this one. And not only that, but when I ask people in most places around the world that are less familiar, maybe less comfortable with the roundabout, which one do you feel safer in? They say, oh, I feel much safer at the lighted intersection. I much prefer the lighted intersection, thank you very much. And what they're telling me is, this system does the thinking for me. In this system, I can be on my phone while I wait for the green light. In this system, I have to be present. This asks more of us. It asks more of us. But as a result, we get all those benefits, right? We get this dramatically more performance system. And so as we look at organizations, these are essentially two different operating systems. How will we solve the problem of structure, of budgeting, of compensation, of how we allocate resources, of how we, build teams, right? We will solve those either with a lighted solution or with a roundabout solution. So two different operating systems, and of course everything in between. This is a spectrum. So one is about control and compliance, the other is about trust and autonomy. Now, I'm not saying that every possible intersection in the world should be a roundabout, any more than I'm saying that every single thing at work should be, a trust and responsibility free-for-all. What I'm saying is we have to think, for the first time in a century, about what is the appropriate solution for the context. And the reality is that for most of our challenges at work, the roundabout solution, the solution that depends on trust and autonomy and transparency, is far more likely to be successful than it ever has been before, and is far more likely to give us what we need than the alternative approach.